Hey, Drew Dixon back with you for another Bible Thump. We find ourselves in Mark chapter 15. Sorry, what do I know? Mark chapter 14. So this is Mark 14, starting verse 27. And it's the new year, so Happy New Year. But I'll read. Then Jesus said to them, Mark 14:27. Then Jesus said to them, all of you will fall away because it is written, I will strike the shepherd and the sheep will be scattered. But after I have risen, I will go ahead of you to Galilee. Peter told him, even if everyone falls away, I will not. Truly I tell you, Jesus said to him, today, this very night, before the rooster crows twice, you will deny me 3 times. But he kept insisting, if I have to die with you, I will never deny you. And they all said the same thing. So I want to talk about starting anew in a new year. And what does this have to do with that? You might at first glance think nothing, but I think there is something here for us that's really powerful. And here's the thing, like, Peter thinks he loves Jesus a lot, and he does. I think he really does love Jesus a lot. So Peter, in his mind, thinks, well, I would never deny Jesus, right? Think about, like, something that you just say in your mind. I would never, ever do that. Like, whether it's, kill someone or leave your spouse or, hurt your children in some way. Here's something we need to be really aware of. Like, whatever that thing is that you think you would never do, the reality that the Bible confronts us with regularly in these pages is this reality that, no, actually, you're capable of that. That thing that you think you'll never do, you're actually capable of doing. Peter's going to do exactly the thing that he thinks he would never, ever do. He's going to deny his Savior and Lord 3 times in his Savior and Lord's greatest time of need. It's really low, right? It's a really low thing to do. I mean, think about, when you have a friend who's suffering or hurting, going through a really difficult time. Maybe they're going through a divorce, or maybe they lost their job, and they're in this really, really dark place. And it's like going over to their house when they're in this really dark, hurtful place, and just, like, picking at them, like, what's wrong with you? Why isn't your house in order? Like, why are you such a loser? That's what the disciples do, and Peter in particular, to Jesus while he's suffering. Peter's going to say, I don't know who this guy is. I don't know who Jesus is. And they did that, right, to protect their own skin, to protect themselves. And it was a big deal, and it is a big deal. It's an incredibly hurtful thing to do. And so I think we all need to acknowledge that we're capable of that kind of thing. Like, and I'm not saying this to, like, scare you or to make you feel bad, but to realize that about ourselves. Like, every human being on the face of the planet is capable of bringing great harm and hurt to the people closest to us. Every human being on the face of the earth is capable of doing things that really damage people and make the world a worse place. So in light of that, what do we need to do? Well, there's good news in this passage too, because even though Jesus is confronting Peter with this reality of what he's going to do, Jesus still loved Peter and was still committed to him. And in fact, was committed to Peter's well-being and good. In fact, after Jesus rises from the dead, he goes to Peter and reinstates him. He says, encourages Peter to feed my sheep, reaffirms his love for Peter, and calls him to a great purpose. And Peter went on to do amazing things, right? To plant churches and to preach the gospel at Pentecost, and to, by the power of Jesus, heal diseases and cast out demons and see the gospel spread to so many places. He wrote letters in this book, right? He had a tremendous life where God used him to reach so many people. So that's true of us. If we want to reach people, if we want to connect with people, if we want to point people to Jesus, If we want to live a life that matters, we need to recognize how deeply broken we are and how capable we are of bringing harm to the people around us. And then also, in the midst of that, we don't just camp out in that brokenness, in that awareness, but we look to Jesus for healing, for forgiveness, for restoration. We look to him and we say, Jesus, you are big enough to overcome my brokenness. You're big enough to redeem my deepest, darkest qualities, my deepest, darkest failures and mistakes. And when we do that, what happens is we begin to want to live differently, to live a life of impact that makes the lives of the people around us better, that demonstrates love to our neighbors. Make sense? There's hope in this passage for really, really broken people. And it's a hope that doesn't stay in brokenness. I want to be really clear. That doesn't just say, oh, well, everyone's really broken and Jesus saves. That's not the point. Peter's going to be restored and redeemed, but not to continue living a life of denying Jesus. He's going to be restored to a life of purpose and bringing the gospel to people and making the lives of the people around him through the power of the gospel better, right? That's what you and I are called to do. And in this new year, we're invited to do that, to be redeemed, to be renewed, to start over. So where are you really struggling with broken relationships? Where are things really broken and messed up in your world? How might this new year be an opportunity to look to Jesus for restoration, right? How will you look to Jesus in 2023? Sorry, 2023, I'm losing my mind. 2022, to redeem and renew you and restore you to himself. How will you look to Jesus to redeem and renew and restore the relationships in your life that are broken? I think he can. He does it all the time. He did it with Peter, and he can do it with us. He can redeem and renew and restore everything that's broken. That's the message we've seen again and again and again in Mark's gospel. Jesus stepping in and making things new. Jesus stepping in and healing diseases. Jesus stepping in and forgiving sin. Jesus stepping into people's lives and raising the dead. Jesus stepping into people's lives and bringing comfort. Jesus stepping into people's lives and calling sinners and tax collectors to follow him. Jesus stepping into people's lives and bringing hope. How will you look to Jesus to step into your life and bring you hope and purpose and use you to be a blessing to the people around you? That's a good thing to pray for in this new year, isn't it? I hope you will. I hope you'll join me in that prayer.